Pluto transition Capricorn into Aquarius. Straight off the bat, I will say that I'm a Capricorn. And there was someone who commented, I've forgotten who it was. I think it was on a Capricorn reading I did. And they sort of said, you know, I know Capricorns that have had a really good time over the past financial time and everything like that. And I understand that this is a real, you know, and that not all Capricorns have had bad times over the last sort of 16 years of the time that Pluto's been in Capricorn. But, you know, and I do understand that. I understand that we're all going through different things and everything like that. And the Astroflower is trying to sort of connect the dots between the energies, between the universal messages and that sort of thing. So it gives everybody a heads up, and everybody's coming from a different point of view and different sort of situations. But I, as a person, someone from Capricorn, have really noticed it. Certainly over the past 4 years, I'd say more than anything else. Incredibly intense, to say the least, if not the most, for Capricorns. And I think everybody has sort of felt it as well. So we're going to go in what what Pluto means generally, how it's been affecting Capricorn through the Capricorn sign for everybody, not just for Capricorn, of course. And then we're going to go into, you know, how is it possible that it can, you know, what are the possible effects that's going to be coming out through Pluto going into Aquarius. And it's a long time. I haven't got the exact dates in my head, but I think it's something roughly around about 18 years, 20 years, something like that. You might well be able to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm sure you'll be able to. But it's been in Capricorn since 2008. And I have done a video on this as already. And it was all about, you know, the banking crisis, you know, Lehman Brothers that went bust. And Capricorn, as a Capricorn, I know what a Capricorn's all about, really. And we like breaking things down to the nuts and bolts of life, and then putting it all back together, you know. And I think this is what's happened since 2008. You know, everything that's come to the surface seems to have been like, and we've had several movements, several fashions, if you like, various different things that have come to the surface that are now just going like that. And on my channel, on the Astroflower, I've been talking about this for about 1.5 years. Not about Pluto. I've been talking about the common sense revolution. And you can go back and watch my videos from over 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Certainly on the collective reading and stuff like that, I'm banging on about the common sense revolution. And I think we're in that now. I think common sense is going to be a word that is going to be very prevalent for the next year, certainly as we go into things. And I think that's that Aquarian side of things, where the Aquarians seem to have like an analytic sort of view of life. You can tell me this as well, Aquarians who are out there watching. And it breaks it down into a very almost like a religious way of doing things. And it's like, if it doesn't work, then, you know, Aquarians will go on the rampage. Well, not on the rampage, on a revolution. So this is what this common sense evolution, I was going to call it, rather than revolution. Evolution is all about. And I think this is also, this is what I mean about connecting dots. You know, I'm an energy guy. I'm not an astrologer. I'll tell you that now. I've done astrology. I understand a great deal of astrology and so forth, but I wouldn't call myself an astrologer. You know, it takes a lot of work to become an astrologer. I have done other works in my life, and my work is all about energy. My you know, sort of seeing auras and doing healings and stuff like that. You know, that's my sort of gig, really. That's my main sort of thing. That's the thing that gets me going. But I do know enough about astrology and so forth. And So, this transition that's going between the two, this common sense evolution that's going to be happening, is going to be happening in a way, and in a way that I think within the Aquarian sort of situation. And the Aquarius, so let's go into Aquarius. Let's talk about Aquarius for a bit. Okay, Aquarius is like the water bearer, yeah? But it's also like John the Baptist, as far as I can tell. JC would be Pisces. When you look at cardinal hats, the hats that cardinals wear in the church, it's like with a fish with a mouth open and everything like that. And it's the story of the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. The 5 loaves being Virgo, which is opposite Pisces, where she's holding 5 sheaves of wheat. And so before Aquarius, we have Pisces, which is JC, and then before that we had Aries, which is all to do with not Noah, what's his name? Moses. Thank you. Moses, when he came down from Mount Sinai, he wasn't happy because everyone was praying to the bull, Taurus. And when people call people to prayer in certain religions in the name of Moses, they call them with the ram's horn. So it's all this whole sort of progressional thing. And so for me, Aquarius is a bit like that. It's a bit like this, Aquarius is great for sort of kind of going, okay, do we understand the situation? Okay, so we're forgiven, everything's sorted, we're washed down, baptized, you're renewed, right, don't make that mistake again, sort of thing. And it's that sort of feeling I get from this transition of Pluto from a Capricorn into Aquarius. So in Capricorn, we spent the last 16 years taking things and going boom, 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 smashing them down, kind of going, right, what's all of this malarkey? Where's this bolt go? Where's this do? How does this work? How does that do? And now we're coming into, it's transitioning from Capricorn into Aquarius, but this is also into, it's now we're coming into the human factor. And we're now breaking down a little bit to nuts and bolts about the human thing. Sort of like, okay, well, look, if we're going to build something, a collective, and that's what I think we're gradually going into. That's the only thing we've got to explore, because it's the first time since a very long time, since maybe the time of Atlantis, when, or the Tower of Babel, that sort of period there, when the world is intercommunicating indirectly, and that's through the internet and everything like that. And we have an opportunity, and an amazing opportunity, to build something fantastic. And that's built upon sort of common sense human values. And I guarantee you, doesn't matter where you go in the world, ending the person's participation on this planet, I'm not allowed, I don't think I'm allowed to say the actual word, but ending the participation of another person on this planet, everybody across the world saying that's not a good idea. That's common sense. And I think that's what we're going to come back to a little bit with that. And I think Aquarius is also going to be helping that. But being in connection with the energies and stuff like that sort of world, in solar cycles, pole shift energies, everything like that, we are also going into a time when we are moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. Let the sun shine. So yeah, all of that sort of thing. Let the sun shine. And we're going, I think this change of Pluto from Capricorn into Aquarius is the most significant point of that starting of the age of Aquarius. I really think we're completely fully in, we're really stepping into it. So I think there's a lot of small rhythms, like this rhythm of Pluto is tiny in compared to the rhythm of the star signs across the sky, which takes anything between 2,000 and 2,700 years to transition from one house to another. And this last one has been about 2,000 years. We're due now to moving into the age of Aquarius. So we've got all these really short rhythms, but really massive rhythms all coming in together at one time. And it's like we're kind of like, boop, 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 boop. And there's like a lot of dominoes that's going down. So I feel very optimistic about the future. And if you look out the window, that's probably not a good idea. You probably wouldn't agree with me sometimes. And I wouldn't agree with myself either sometimes, looking at the world. But then that's only because they're losing the common sense. And that's probably what we need to get back to. And I think that's where Pluto is going to do that. So let's just I want to have a quick look at actual Pluto. So let's talk about Pluto, the actual planet. Now, Pluto was named by I think she was 13 or 14-year-old girl in 1930, who told her grandfather that it should be named after the god of the underworld, the Greek god of the underworld, Pluto. So, and that name was taken up and taken on. From the 1930s, and we didn't discover it before. And since then, it's been declassed into a minor planet. I can't even speak anymore. Minor planet, or it's minor planet, or dwarf planet, or whatever it is. But obviously, within the astrology world, it's still really sort of potent. And think about astrology. Astrology before the 1930s, Pluto. Did it exist in astrology? I don't think it did. It couldn't have done if we didn't know about it. So it's quite a new thing, really. It's we can only surmise what was going on in the history, and in the history of the changing from Pluto, from Capricorn into Aquarius last time round, which was back in the 1700s. You had the French Revolution, you had the American Revolution, you had lots of revolution. There was loads of revolutions going on, and this is what seems to be happening here. It's not a revolution; it's an evolution. So it's a common sense evolution. So and the god of the underworld. Okay, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how I see the planets and how they work. Okay, a solar system, I think, lasts a lot longer than what we think. The sun has got gas that's left on the sun to live. So if we estimate it at 4 billion years or whatever it is, I think we've got a lot more than that. And there is a reason for this, and it's about how planets are created. So I'm going to do a video on this at some point. I'm sure we will do it with Tanya at some point, who's also out there commenting at the moment. Thank you for helping me out as per usual, Tanya. Absolutely brilliant. Thanking you very much. So we'll do a video on this, but giving you the 5-second version of it. Okay, the sun with its plasma can sometimes make filament energies, and then it can sometimes make a ball of plasma that is attached by umbilical cords, and it's attached to the sun, and it can be attached for several months before it's ejected, and that's like an ovulation, like a female ovulation, basically. But I think as well, as if obviously if that planet or that ball of plasma is impregnated, as it were, then the dust that accumulates on the surface of the sun, and we know that, you can go and look at NASA, you can go and check it out, the sun has been accumulating a lot of dust, and it'll eventually shake it off with the pole shift, and that could be a solar flash, when we tend to go from one side of the galactic plane to the other. And this is a possibility, a great possibility, where that dust is collected and given around that ball of plasma, and it makes a shell like an egg, and then it takes the place of Mercury as the closest planet to the sun. And then Mercury becomes Venus and starts spinning in the opposite direction, because it starts winding up the plasma. Like Venus is spinning in the opposite direction, it's winding up the plasma inside the planet. So when it does eventually take the position of Earth, then it can unwind, and that's what creates the magnetic field of the Earth that's perfect for living. And the Earth will then lose its magnetic field, become Mars. Mars will break up because the magnetic field has dropped so much, and it will create that asteroid belt, leaving that sort of ball of plasma that doesn't really exist. It's like water vapor in the air. You can't quite see it, as it were. And then it starts compressing that gas, and it becomes Jupiter. And Jupiter then starts, oh look, lovely hearts. Hey! And then it starts compressing even more the gas in Jupiter. So then that gets all the impurities out, which create the rings of Saturn. And then it compresses it even further. And then we get certain Neptune, Uranus, and Uranus, and then Pluto. So Pluto is like a ball of gas that was created during the time that the planet was like planet Earth. And what happens is it goes out into the Oort cloud, which is a asteroid belt of balls of frozen gas around the sun. And Pluto will gradually break up over time. And eventually, when the sun is hungry, it will just, with its magnetic field, it will just pull in one of those blocks of gas so it can feed itself. And it does it usually around anything between 100 and 200 times a year. We get comets that go into, some of them really, really tiny, but comets that go into the sun, and they tend to go into the sun at the same angle every single time. A little bit like a funnel. So if you imagine Pluto is the gas of every living thing that lived on that planet, like we are living on that planet as planet Earth at this time being. So I can understand it being the god of the underworld, because it is the collection of all that gas, of all that breath of trees, of animals, of humans, and so forth in the universe, and or in the solar system, sorry. And eventually we'll go back to its maker, which is the sun. And it's this perpetual cycle that goes on. There's other ways in which a solar system can be created, and we'll go into that into another video. But that's just to sort of like explain Pluto, and I can understand. So when we're looking at Pluto in regards to Aquarius, or going into Aquarius, or being in a sign for a long time, it really likes to, if you imagine, obviously I had a near-death experience when I was like 22. I was already doing healing and dowsing by that stage, and it was a great experience. It's, you go through this review, obviously, when you get on, when you do that sort of thing. When you go over to the other side, you review your life, and things that matter to you now don't really matter when you're on the other side. A lot of things don't matter, really. It's all about spirit and experience more than anything else. But it's a similar sort of thing. It's like when Pluto goes to a sign, it's reviewing all of that is connected to that sign. So with Capricorn, it's all to do with finances, mechanics, how things work, the real hardness of it all, of life, and breaking it down, seeing if we can put in a better system or whatever, And this is what you're going to get with Aquarius as well. It's really dealing with the underbelly of life, the things that we don't often like to look at. Okay, so that's the sort of transition that I think is being, will be coming into through the system, as it were, and it will start with I think, with a worldwide evolution of people just turning around, just sort of kind of going, look, we're all just trying to make ends meet and enjoy our family and friends and our pleasures and our activities, playing music or playing sport or, walking or painting or, we're all trying to just enjoy life. And I think that's the same across the world, really. Most people would like to just sort of like, take part in the human collective, but at the same time, enjoy life and just keep things simple, keep it common sense. And I think this is where we got a great opportunity for this to happen. And as we do this, I think this whole sort of Aquarian start to the season, as it were, to the age of Aquarius, and it will accumulate over the next 2,000 odd years. But certainly over the next 16, 18, 20 years, whatever the period it is for Pluto in Aquarius, we will get this, it will start off with this sort of revolution, but it will be this baptizing, this perpetual baptizing for the next sort of 20 years, gradually refining it, getting down to a working common sense model, in life. So I think that's the general gist of what's going from, or the energy, or the changes of energy in Pluto through to Aquarius. Okay, so let's just for just so everybody knows, if you don't know anything about the Astroflower, welcome to the Astroflower family. Here's an example of an Astroflower. This is there's actually it's a circle, a ring of rings, and it's a tool that I developed because it also, we can go into the healing of it all and everything like that. How that you can anticipate for healing and stuff like that through the Astroflower and through the solar activities. I created it to help. I started creating it nearly 20 years ago now, but I created it to help the people that would come and see me for healing, and I had a huge amount, a lot of people, and so I needed a tool that I could give to people and sort of say, look, if you use this, you can anticipate things, so you avoid, prevention is much better than cure. Obviously cure if need be, but, prevention is better than cure. And it was, I created this thing to sort of like help people to prevent getting into problems or dealing with problems in a much easier way. So here's an example of the Astroflower. Blimey, that was a long explanation, do apologise. Here's an example of the Astroflower, and it's Aquarius. All fixed signs, so Aquarius, Taurus, Leo and Scorpio, okay, they go in quarters like that. So Aquarius is 2/3 air, this is up this section here, and 1/3 water. Okay, if we go back a quarter and we go back to Scorpio, Scorpio is 2/3 water and 1/3 air. Happy birthday to all you Scorpios having your birthday today, by the way. It goes in this sort of square, and we get the same sort of thing with Taurus and Leo. So Taurus is earth sign with fire and the underneath, and Leo is fire with earth underneath. But other things you may well notice, and that is, let me just bring it up so I can see as well. The other thing you'll notice is that inside it does have a few bits of air as well that comes through. I'll get out of the way so you can actually see. You get the fixed water air, fixed air that comes in from Pisces, and then you have this mutable air that comes in from Sagittarius. Okay, so we're just going into the Sagittarian season. So they actually have more air than they do really water, because you've got a bit of water that comes through from Capricorn here, and then you've got the mutable water that comes in from Pisces. You've also got connection to sort of Taurus on this side, where you get the fire here with the water. So it can be sort of like tricky, and this is this whole revolutionary foundation to Aquarius, and they are, it is a sign of revolution or evolution, and I think that's what baptism is all about. It's like when you go into an evolution, you've just got to realize that there's something that you need to get out of the way. As Pluto is going to be looking at the real sort of underbelly, I would have thought it's going to be looking at these sort of things here, karmic paths and our connection to the universe, really that sort of thing, and how we do things on a very fundamental level. And you have this water and balloons. It's celebration. Happy birthday. That was a bit late. Oh, does it again? Does it? Right, fine, fair enough. These two here, you got water and air, and water and air on this side here, and then you got water and fire on over here. And I think this is what, these are the fundamental things. So it's the mental against the emotions on the physical side of life, and it's the emotions and the passions on the relationship side of life. And I think that's the fundamental things that I think over the next 16 years we will be grappling with as a collective. And so we're going to be doing a collective reading and pulling some cards and getting some messages. So let's just pull up the Astroflower. Here it is. Here you are. How you doing? If you want, I don't know if you want to be part of the. We're going to be doing the Astroflower. We've been started doing it the 2025 readings, a Zoom room meeting where you can ask a question and we can pull some cards on it. If you want to be part of that for your sign, and we're doing it for every single sign, and if you want to be part of that Zoom room meeting, you will find links in your weekly readings so you can book up to be part of that. But yeah, let's what we're going to do is we're going to pull find out just what's going on the overall energies that's coming through for the collective, and then just see what's on the karmic path, on the emotional or spiritual side of the human race. And then we'll pull out what's our connection to the universe, our connection to our past, our ancestors, and then our connection to our future selves, where we're going on, and the sort of lessons that we can be getting out of that. So let's just see what's going on the general sort of energies here. I get, because we're talking about fundamentals and it's Aquarius, we're talking about water, and we do certainly go into a lot of water energies over the next coming year. I think there's going to be a lot more filament energy eruptions on the sun, so that's going to be charging the energy that's coming through your system, your chakras and your auras. And I get out of here, it's really excitable. It's really, water is so versatile. Like every element, what am I on about? Like every element, but in water, it's also synonymous with healing. It's also something that you can drink, something that you can wash in, something that you can cook in. But also at the same time, it's something that you can use as a power hose, and you can really cause some damage. And the rivers and tsunamis and what have you can cause some real sort of damage. So I think there's like the overall energy is an excitable one. It's a nice and enjoyable and like, yeah, great, let's get on sort of thing. But at the same time, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and it could boil over at times on this sort of side, on the emotional or spiritual side of life. I think there's going to be it's something to tie. I think it's tied into sort of like our connection to the universal vibration. And I think we're going to get a real, it's like when you're doing a puzzle, isn't it? You're doing a puzzle and you find a piece, and in that piece there, you put it down, you kind of go, right, I can do that whole section around there now. And it's like within the spiritual world or within the emotional world, in our connection in the collective, we're finding a piece that binds us all together, or that connects us all together. Not binds us, I don't like that. Connects us all together. And it's like kind of like, oh, right, sort of thing. It seems like that sort of thing that's coming to the surface. So we got that on that side. On the financial side, here it comes now. Okay, so it started with the banking crisis, right, in Capricorn. And we ended up with Bitcoin, virtual. And I don't know much about it. There's probably a lot of people who know a lot more about it than I do. But, Bitcoin seems to be like a free money. Not like it's free, like, oh, I can pick it up free of charge. But it's not tied to a system that is governing it. Now that's obviously, that can be good and that can be bad. You know, it's like anything, you know, you can abuse any sort of thing, but, you know, it seems like there's a liberation coming in the business world, which seems to be of, it's like moral responsibility. That's what it seems like to me, moral responsibility. And that could be a major part of putting back together the financial system in a very moral way. Okay? It is incredibly passionate. There is a lot of passion going on there. We get the Knight of Wands on the overall energies there. Yeah, and I think we need to be reactive. The thing is, what's happened in... the Astroflower's gone. There it is. Don't worry, it's back. Excuse me. I think we need to be responsive to the situation. Now, what's happened in the recent past, we've had this council culture sort of thing going on. And the council culture, I think, has come to an end. Because it just seems to be, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't really get involved with it, but it seems to be highly manipulated to me, and it could be very detrimental as much as being very good. You know, you can do some really good things like anything in life. And here I think is being spontaneous, and I think it's taking responsible, spontaneous reaction to a situation. So if we discover that, say, like one company, regardless of who it is doing something that's very detrimental to, you know, the food that we're eating, for example, you know, collectively we should be able to sort of like have that sort of moral sort of compass to turn around and kind of go, I'm going to vote with my pocket and I'm not going to spend my money until you sort that act out in your place. And it will, you know, it's almost like live democracy going on. That's what I feel like with the, you know, in that sort of side with the finances side. It's really passionate, and being passionate about being involved in your community. You know, being connected with your community, I think it's going to be really important. I think it's going to be very fulfilling as well with each and every one of us. So let's just see what's going on with the on the spiritual or the emotional relationship side of it all. The karmic path is a collection of the past and the future in a way. It's like it's the exploration of the experience of being a human, where we can learn a lot of things. That's basically, you know, how I see this within this setup. You know, it's not how I see necessarily, well, it is how I see karma as well. You know, when I'm doing healing and I'm looking at someone's karmic block, you know, you can go through it and you can kind of like, you can see the lessons that people have learned in different lifetimes and stuff like that. It's really quite interesting and everything like that, but you know, it has to have relevance as well. But here is like, it's like a tower. And I've seen a lot of this in the weekly readings as well. It seems like a tower, as if like, you know, if you want to make the universe laugh, show them your plan, you know, that sort of thing. And it's almost as like the human race is kind of going, look at our plan, and putting our plan to the test, as it were, or having a moral starting point, you know. And as I said, I think it's going to get refined as we go on and go on and go on. Yeah, we get the Six of Swords. Now, this is obviously the collective, as I was saying. And this is going on to Karma Shores. I think it's been very hectic over the past 4 years. There's been multitudes of reasoning for that, which I'm not going to go into now. We could go into it at another time and talking about that another time. There's been certain power struggles on this planet, outside of this planet, on other planets and what have you. You know, in the universe, there's power struggles been going on, and I think this is like the world has weathered the storm, and it's now our karmic path here to set a path to much, or set a course to much calmer shores. And that's our karmic mission, as it were, for the next 16 years. And as I say, we're going across an ocean, and we're driving this change, being part of it and driving this change. And when you're going across an ocean, it's not always plain sailing. And I think we've been through the difficult part of it, to be honest. I think we've really been through the difficult part of it, and we're coming out the other side, and we're going to be opening up a conversation where we can start seeing the life for what it really is. Let's just see what it's like with the connection to the universe. By the way, did I say earlier? Yeah, I did say earlier on. I can't see the comments, so I don't know if you're commenting. Hello to everybody out there, just in case. Let's just see what's going on. The universal connection here. I get like, it's a little bit like, Star Trek, and they have people working at the desks on the bridge, and you've got lights going on. I get that. I get this sort of like, I think we're learning how to integrate energy within our lives. And it's on, the thing is with energy, that's how it works. It's not just on one plane. It's on a multitude of different levels. It's on a physical level, emotional level, sort of spiritual level or energetic level. It's on multitudes of different things. And we're sort of like, it's almost as if like we're, fine tuning our connection to the world around us. Really, really nice. That's really, really nice. Yeah. And being passionate about it, learning a lot about our connections to this universal energies and connection to one another. And we get the Page of Wands. Now, Page is all about learning to be the knight. And that's absolutely brilliant. So our connection here is to, our overall energy is like we want to be that knight. We want to go off on that passionate mission. And we've got to learn how to integrate energy within our lives in a passionate way. And this is how I think the emotions are going to be driving this force. If we look at, let me just bring up Aquarius again, just quickly, so we can all see. On this petal here, you've got this, fixed fire and fixed water, and that's what that's all about. It's about getting those learning a lot about those passionate things, putting it in order and so forth. I think that's really, it seems to be the driving force behind, our learning curve for the next sort of like 16 years. But I think it comes in really quite strong. In the past, or our ancestors, what is the message from our ancestors? This is where I'm going to speak to my granddad. On both sides. And my nans, they're great. They were great. They are great. Anyway, let's get to the ancestors. Stop this. Like the planet Pluto is the breath of everything that existed before on that planet. That is the frozen gas of Pluto, or the frozen waters of Pluto. It's like our ancestors sort of saying, you're not on your own. We're all part of this accumulation. We're all part of this evolution. And it started somewhere. It started 2,000 years ago when, no one had a Tesla. I haven't got a Tesla. But, you know what I mean? It started years and years ago. But this is it about the cycles. We've been through 4 cycles already. And we're going into the 5th cycle here. And this 5th cycle is, one of the cycles is all to do with Atlantis. There's other cycles as well. And it's all about coming together under one voice. And it seems like the past is, or we are getting in alignment with the past and our future. And the past is sort of saying, we're all part of it. We're backing you. We're all part of it. And the the ancestors here are sort of saying, just recognize what works. Don't necessarily get rid of it. There's certain morals that we know that are within us that have been inherent within the human race, regardless of culture, for hundreds of years. And we don't want to just throw it out because it's we need to be modern. There's some things that are just timeless morals. And I think this is what I think our past selves are trying to tell us that. Let's just see what's going on in our future self, our future collective. I tell you, it's really, it's very nice. It's almost like, I've got 3 kids, and when one of your kids does something that you're really proud of, it just makes you just feel like just kind of going, oh my word, that's amazing. Obviously it's your kid, so you think it's amazing. But here is, it's like we have a great opportunity. And if we can get things in alignment from the past and keep some timeless moral aspects to a foundation to our future, when we put it all into a line, that's when the evolutionary process can go really quickly. If we do this, it's just going to slow down the advancement of our connection to the energy and universal vibration. And once we know how to connect to it, boy, that's going to change everything. That's going to change everything in the way of computers, technology, the way we live life. It really will. And it just seems like here that the future selves are sort of saying, come on, get in a line. And look at that. Look at that. 6 of Wands. Yeah, 6 of Wands. What more should I say about the 6 of Wands apart from the fact that, it's shining in a light. We're getting it in line. We have a great chance of enormous amounts of victory for us. We've got 2 6s on here now. And 6s is like you got the triangle above and then you got the triangle down below. Okay? It's like a mechanic yin and yang. That's the best way to describe it. With the 6-pointed star. So you get both sides of the story, but in a very mechanical way, rather than in an emotional way or energetic way like you would do with the yin yang. Yin yang is much more sort of energetically driven, where the 6-pointed star is more mechanically driven. So it's the mechanics of energy, whereas the yin yang is like the spirit of energy, as it were. And whatever it is, we've got the 2 6s here, and I think it's like sort of saying this is like a completion, the coming together of one. So yeah, let's just see what are the lessons to be taken out of this. Honest. I'm getting 2 things. I'm getting loads of joy. I'd like to say that to start with, but it's also like being honestly disagreeing. This is really hard to do. This is, I can disagree. My brother, I love my brother. All right, hi Jago, love my brother, and we disagree on a lot of things. we disagree on a load of things, and I love him because of that. And the thing is, I can't say I'm 100% right. He can't say he's 100% right, but we can agree to disagree in a really loving way. And I think this could be the driving lesson that comes out of it. This is what is going to take us to calmer shores. And I think that's when it gets us in alignment. That's when things go really, really quickly. And we have a mission to go for. 2 6s. We've now got 2 knights here on the table here. It's all about fire and air going on there. So yeah, it's being passionate about, being passionate about being engaged on a personal level on our collective evolution, our collective revelation of the real human spirit, or the real human energy. It could be phenomenal, actually. Really, really phenomenal. I think there's a massive, massive, massive change happening, and that's also on a pole shift front. So that's, you know, physical on that sort of side. If you'll find in the description a link to the page where we sell. You know, we've got a book out called The Event, and that's what that's all about on the physical level of what goes on in the earth. And so if you want to read about that, you know, it's a fiction book, but it's a great book. It's part of a 3-part series, which we're dealing with the other 2 parts of it as well. But yes, we're going through this massive change that's on a spiritual level, but it's also on a physical level, material level. The earth is going through a massive change. You know, she's allowed to change. It's okay. She's been constantly changing for millions of years. Don't try and stop her from changing. It's like trying to stop your kid from growing up. You know, why would you want to do that? You want them out the door as quickly as possible so it frees you up so you can run around life. No, I'm only joking. Or am I? Anyway, it's you know, it's like it's that sort of thing. It's you know, it's can't hold it back. We've got to go on this mission, and it's being part of this mission, which is really beautiful. Let's just have a look what's going on the financial side. Then we get into some questions. If you've got some questions that we can pull some cards on, Tanya will be there fielding your questions. She'll be being able to put them through to me when we come to the end of this bit of a reading here. So let's just go through this, see what's going on the financial sort of side. Already on the karmic path, it's pulled back a little bit. It's not sitting directly forward. There is a tower that's gradually coming into place, but it's not quite there. And I think it's not quite there because we need to have this one voice, as it were, you know, one energy, talking with one energy before that we can have this evolving thing. But if we can talk with one energy, then all of a sudden, I think we get a real breakthrough in technology. We get a breakthrough in the way in which we conduct our finances together. And because we see the world in a completely different way with the Hangman. And it is on our karmic path to understand that if you put resistors into a computer, yes, it's going to heat up. It's going to consume lots of electricity. And the electricity is going to be slow on the calculation. If you started doing a computer that's driven by like light, like a laser that goes through and reflects off mirrors to make all the calculations, and then therefore it works like a computer, you know, it's a very simplified version of it. All of a sudden, you don't need a lot of electricity. There's nothing resisting to it, and it can go incredibly fast. That's the sort of thing. It's not that we need to, you know, if we change the way in which our technology, we could cut our energy demands by 90% probably. Problem solved. You know, problem solved. You heard it here first on the Astroflower. Okay, let's just see what's going on with our connection to the universe. Now, this is a collective reading, right? Okay, and this is all about, usually in the material world, so it's all about networking and so forth. I get this thing, I get the energy coming in here, and it seems to be coming in not necessarily to the overall energy, but it's playing much more to the future, almost as about the lessons to be learned. And I get this sentiment that it's like either we're meeting our inner being or we're meeting a being from somewhere else. It could well be possible. Or we understand our connection to our greater history. That could well be it, to be honest. It feels a lot lighter. It feels a lot stronger than the other thing. But it's like all of a sudden we understand something about our history, about the pyramids, for example. Like the pyramids wasn't built as a funeral chamber. You know, it was built and it was put on top of a spring, like all sort of pyramids. And then you draw the water through the pyramid, and that's why you got the chambers and the exit parts here. So what you're doing is you draw water through stone. You're actually creating electricity. So it was channeling the earth energies, like Stonehenge was doing the same thing. and that was on of another age, a bit like the age of Aquarius, a bit like Aquarius, a bit like the Atlantis sort of era, where we had the wars between the squares and the circles. So the pyramids are the squares, and the circles are like people like Stonehenge and so forth. And over in Asia, you had like the iron rods that stick out of the ground like a Tesla tower. And everyone had their version of using the Earth's energy as a bit like CERN or HARP or something like that. People, before our technology, we were using it like that, and we've done that, so we don't need to do that again anymore. And this is where I think there's a whole new evolution going on. And look what it's bringing in. It's bringing in the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is about the here and now, but it's also a collecting loads of sort of like passionate things in life, okay, but concentrating on one thing at a time and being really excited about that thing. Evolution at one thing at a time. And that's the magic of life. And she's got that magical side of her that she can be enthused about something in the future, which which allows evolution to happen in an explosive rate. If you look at what's happened over the last 150 years compared to the last 2,000 years before that, it's like kind of going, whoa, we've gone from steam train to quantum computers, and it's phenomenal, and it's all part of this getting in line as well. What's from our ancestors? Don't cheat on your past. I think here is sort of saying, if we went through, incredible times in 1939 to 45, for example, as a collective, we don't need to go through that again. We don't need to do that again. And I think everybody knows that. And that's where the common sense is coming out. And the ancestors are sort of saying, if you're only going to use this technology to go back to that sort of controlling thing, we've already done that. We've done that during the Atlantis period. We've done that through the squares and circles war as well period, which lasts, sort of 48,000 years or whatever it is, 24,000 years. In our past, we're talking sort of hundreds of thousands of years ago. But it's like our ancestors are sort of saying, we're not going back. We can only go forward. Have strength and go forward. It's demanding to go forward into something that's new and that opens us up to sort of kind of going, being not stupid, but being innocent and not really knowing and trying things out and getting things wrong. It's okay to get things wrong. It's fine. It's just recognizing when you get things wrong. That's the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people, in the old world, we couldn't accept that we were wrong. Therefore, it ended up in with trouble. And it's okay. It's fine to get things wrong because it clears a lot of stuff up for us. What's our future selves sort of saying here? Now this comes. I met up with lots of entities when I was a young man, through my meditations, and these entities came from elsewhere. Okay, and this is all this was a long time ago, and the thing that was missing was it's symbolic, so it's not actually that's what happens, but it's like the thing that was missing was a chair at the round table, a chair that is destined for the human being. It's almost as if like we are taking our place in the universe, or we have this possibility to take our place in the universe in the material sense. So all of a sudden we will get technology which will allow us to wander around because we get this side sorted. That's the sort of carrot that comes out of it. One love. One love. Let's get together and feel alright. Definitely. And I think technology can do this. But before, in times of Atlantis and stuff like that, one side would keep the technology and make the others be slaves in order to, to feed the people who've got the technology. And this time round, I think this is the big difference within the financial world. It's or the material world. That is going to be the big change, where you don't necessarily hold anything back from any population in the world of their evolutionary process or development, because they can't have access to the technology that everybody else has access to. I think it's making it wider and accessible to everybody, which is really good. Let's just see what the lessons that come out of this week here. This week. It's not this week. What is it? 16 years out of this next sort of like 20 years. Like, I wonder if I'll still be here. I think I will be. But anyway, next 20 years, it's, what was the message? The message was, it's like, don't shoot yourselves in the foot. Don't put a hole in the boat, sort of scenario. And we get the Six of Cups. What I think the lesson is I think the lesson is with the material side is you may well be working on a computer, but that computer, or you might be looking at this on the telephone or computer, or some people have been watching it on the television. I know. I'm on telly at last. But it's that bit of technology. Yes, it was invented in very recent times, but just the whole evolutionary process of the human species to get to that invention, you can't take anything away from the past. And it seems like here that it's like we've got to understand the journey that we've been on and why. And that's opening up the whole idea of if we're going to make it collectively or we're not going to make it at all, sort of scenario. It's like if you're in a team, let's say a football team. You can take American football or soccer or British football. Football. And you're a really good team, but you didn't win any cups. And then that team gets disbanded. That team has failed. So the human race has failed. But as individual spirits and souls, doesn't necessarily the soul comes to an end. We just collectively, individually move on to somewhere else. So, I'm not sure how it's going on with the comments. How's it going on there? There seems to be quite a few. I'm just keying back in here, seeing what's going on. Is there any sort of questions out there that you want answered for this, for this sort of period, or anything that we, pulled on today? Any sort of questions you want to be asking about the future? I could pull a few cards on. Could be personal, but it could be collective, whichever sort of like floats your boat, as it were. I'm constantly asking questions. I'm just having a quick look at the comments here now. Someone's having a birthday. Happy birthday. Who's that? Elodie. So you've commented, Tanya. Excellent. Thank you. Great. Happy birthday to one and all there. Oh my God. I wake up early for this Pluto in Aquarius. So that's sort of, is that Vanessa? I can't quite see. My eyesight is going to pop. Obviously, I'm nowhere near as young as I used to be. There you go. Has no one got a question? Anyway, if no one's got a question, I think we're going to wrap it up. Don't forget about the energy updates and stuff like that. You've got the energy update coming tomorrow. And I will say on the energy updates, whilst we're here, in the last energy update, I talked about earthquakes. And I talked about where the next possible big earthquakes will come from. And I said north of Australia on the Indonesian plate. Our questions just come from Ellie's asking, right, okay, right, any employment front, career improvement. What sign are you, Ellie? Is that your birthday today? So you're Scorpio, are you, at the moment? Scorpio. Yeah, I did your yearly reading as well for that. I think you're going to be owning it a lot. Let's just see what's going on for you and your career front. You know, I think if you, certainly if you engage, because Aquarius, as I said, is the quarter to Scorpio. I think Scorpio's actually going to come out of it really fair and dandy. Hang on a second. I've just had some messages come through. Sorry. You know, I think, you know, Scorpio should come out of it quite well, actually. I think it's going to be easier for earth signs, a little bit more difficult for water signs. It's going to be very confrontational or impacting to air signs, and a little bit complicated for fire signs. That's how I generally surmising over the whole sort of thing. But hang on a second. Capricorn rising in Venus. Capricorn rising in Venus, blimey. So you're Scorpio. Okay, let's just have a look what's going on. Okay, so getting back to that. Sorry, I was actually asking the question. I shouldn't look at the comments. Yeah, getting back to that. It's like for you, it's Scorpios tend to be very good on that sort of moral judgment, as it were, of things. And, you know, they're very much on that sort of moral judgment. And I think this change of energy is pretty good for Scorpio. And it helps you. And if you certainly get involved in life, if you really get involved and really, let's say if you're looking for a job, if you really focus on the company that corresponds to you. So I'd like to work for this company. If you take that sort of attitude, I think it's going to help you enormously, the energies in the coming year. I think that's going to help you enormously. Let's just see what's going on for you. Ellie, you get the Knight of Wands, which we got in the collective right in the middle. And this is what I mean about being, I think Scorpio and yourself, if you apply yourself and really immerse yourself in the human matrix, as it were, I think you'll find a position that really corresponds for you. Okay, let's just see what's going on for your future self. Look at that. You get the moon, which is you. I think it's important for you to be you. Definitely, Ellie. And when you get it, look at that. You get the strength, which is on the past self as well. Being strong and true to yourself, I think, Ellie, will certainly open up a lot of doors. Let's just have a quick look on the energy front. Let's just have a look at your tree of energy. Okay, so it seems to be connected to the social side of life. I don't know what you do as a job, but it's sort of like it seems to be connected on the social side of life. Let me just get a bit of timeline on that one too. So you're looking at around about, I think you have a fantastic opportunity around about February. If you need something really quickly, you know, it could be a case of just taking on a job, just a sort of a part-time job just to see you through. But if you're really looking at really taking your career on, I would do a bit of background work of how, you know, what companies you want to work for and everything like that, and or what sort of industry you want to work in, or, you know, what sort of thing you want to work with. And once you start putting that into in your configuration, into your, you know, your calculations, it's going to take you a bit of time to do that, especially with Christmas around. And I reckon the job opportunity may turn up in January. By the time you apply for it, you go for the interview on sort of February. Okay? But it looks good for you anyway, Ellie. Happy birthday to you. I've got another question come through. Will justice prevail? Will justice prevail? Who's that? It's from Lindsay, is it? Will justice prevail? I think it's the only way to baptize yourself, to cleanse yourself. And I think that's what justice is. I don't think retribution. I'm not a big fan of retribution. I'm more a big fan of kind of going, oh, you did something really bad, you know, and everybody knows you did something really bad. And as you walk down the street, everyone will know that you've done something bad. And it's built upon, I look at respect in a lot more in that sort of way. And so I don't get I don't get justice as retribution. I get more of a justice of putting things back into balance and in harmony more than anything else. And we will recognize things that we've done in the past, and we're kind of sort of saying, we shouldn't have done that. That was wrong. So will justice prevail? Should we put a few cards on that? Shall we, Lindsay? See if justice will prevail. Look at that, 4 swords, healing. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's all to do with healing. As I said, retribution, don't look for that. Look for just sort of kind of going, that was not good. We're not going to do that again. And don't do that again in the future, please. As a collective, common sense, we don't agree with that. And what do we get? We get the 7 of Pentacles. And we need to nurture people rather than, I understand it. I grew up in London, and when life is tough, man, and you ain't got a couple of dimes to rub together, a couple of farthings to rub together. Yeah, sometimes you got to do things to make ends meet, and it may not necessarily be in the letter of the law, and it's difficult sometimes, life, and I wouldn't persecute someone because they need to eat. Obviously, I think everybody's like that. But here, I think we need to, what we haven't done in the past, and I think this is where we got the great opportunity to nurture our connection to the universe, our connection to the energy. And once we can, we nurture that side of things, then all of a sudden, we get the good stuff. We get the good stuff. And all of a sudden, what seemed impossible in the past now becomes possible. So will justice prevail? Yeah, I hope so. In the way that it brings balance back to the force, to the energy, or to the human species. And we seem to be completely unbalanced at the moment. And I think that unbalance comes from within as much as outside. We need to take that chair at that greater council, as it were. That's what needs to happen. But in order to do that, we need to really get it all in line, So I hope that's sort of like, that answered your question, Lindsay. Are you asking for you in personal sort of sense? Let's just have a look for you. I think you find your happy medium to blossom, Lindsay. You have your happy medium to blossom. And I think it's like, what are those trees? Magnolia trees. It looks like it's never going to, it doesn't look like the tree that's going to flower. And then all of a sudden it goes into flower. And I think this is, maybe you're finding that for you, finding that for you. That's sort of like, you're finding that place to blossom, KT Rainbow, how you doing? Thanking you for all your support, by the way, that you give me. I'll give the Astroflower. It's absolutely beautiful. Lindsay, it did, and yes, thanks. It did, and yes, thanks. I'm glad it did, and no worries. Pleasure, Lindsay. Absolute pleasure. Yes. So, there you go. I don't, you know, if there's no other questions, apart from you lot being just the Astroflower just being absolutely amazing. Get some great questions. There's some people that are having difficult times. You know, it's so good to see other people helping out. Other people keep the faith, as it were, keep the good vibration going within them and everything like that. It's you know, it's a really beautiful experience, this Astroflower, from my side anyway. I think it is from your side as well. I hope so as well. But it's a really good thing. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Another comment came through was, what's the finances looking like for Capricorns in 2025? Nothing short of amazing, as far as I can tell. Excuse me. Let me just take a bit of my tea. Mosey, is that right? Is that what's coming through? Mosey, Capricorn. It's like Capricorn has been under the cosh, and I think finances will become very easy to come by. It's not you're going to be stinking rich, but you're going to get what you need to experience what you want to experience. I feel like that's for Capricorn. And I don't think you need to really try hard in order to get it now. In fact, I would even sort of say the less you try, the easier it will be for you to make money, Capricorn, because you've been through all of that. Lindsay, I hope you haven't gone yet. We get justice for you. The justice card. Let me just bring up where I am so I can see what I'm doing. Justice card. So for you, in regards to finances in Capricorn, you're going to get your just desserts. You're going to get what you deserve. And, you know, and you can see that. And I think it plays it very much into the future. I think Capricorn, it's because you know, Capricorns were out front centre with Pluto, because we're talking about Pluto today. Out front and centre for the Pluto. So we were taking it full in the face. You know, and all the other signs are just taking a little, the consequences as it goes through each sign. Then obviously, you know, now it's going to be Aquarius. It's like a peloton, you know, like the thing like cycling, where one cycler goes in front of the other constantly, you know, so it helps to keep each other. And I think because Capricorn has been, you know, been taking a whipping from Pluto, I think it's almost as if like the universe kind of going, we'll let you off for the next sort of like 20 years. You'll be fine. You know, you'll get a passage. You'll get an easy passage, as it were. You know, King of Cups as well that comes in with it. And I think that's basically, that sums up sort of Capricorn's finances for the next coming year, I think, for you. It should look really, really good, Mosey, to be honest. If you want to do something, if you want to create something, now is the time to do that. Pluto is all about, also in Aquarius, there's a lot of creation. And if you want to create something, Mosey, I think this is the week, this is the month, this is the year, this is the next 20 years in order to do it. So, yeah, I think finances for 2025, I think, will be really good. It almost seems like the less you, if you do something, do it because you love it. Don't make finances the driving goal behind it. If you do it because you love it, I think you'll make enough money to keep on enjoying it, basically. So yeah. So, you know, I hope that sort of answered that sort of question, Lindsay. Yay, got glad to get it. Pluto's moving. Oh, it's so fantastic, isn't it? It certainly is, Lindsay. Yeah. So there you go. I think everybody's sort of like covered. Nice, Missy. Yeah, okay, yeah. KT Rainbow. Yeah, it should be good for you as well. It's been absolutely brilliant meeting you. If you want to be part of the Zoom reading, basically we can talk to each other. That's the whole sort of thing. I'm not going to put the whole thing out live, what we're going to do is I will, for the yearly readings for all the signs, and I think we've done Scorpio, we've done Sagittarius, and we've done Capricorn. So we've got all the other signs. If you want to be part of that, so we can actually be in a Zoom room, and then I do the reading, which will be going onto YouTube, and then you can ask questions and we can pull cards on it, but we can see each other. And it'll be a good exploration of each sign for the next coming year. If you want to be part of that, just check out the weekly readings. You'll find a link to reserving that in your in the descriptions of the weekly readings. Okay, so yeah. What's the congratulations? Yes, congratulations and tribulations. Yeah. Lovely. There you go. So I think we've pretty much covered everything. Thanking you, everybody out there. Thanking you very, very much for all you know, all the support you give to this channel. I'm not good with tech. You're not good with tech? Join the club, Rainbow. You're not good with tech. I'm not good with tech. I'm much better with a car or planting vegetables. But anyway, you know, I'm sure you'll come out with, you know, the moment you get involved in life. I think yeah, it'd be brilliant for you, Katie. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, thanking you very much for being with us on this journey of the Astroflower. It's absolutely brilliant. Through the virtualness of YouTube, I've met a lot of people, and it's so lovely to see you week in, week out. And if you know the Astroflower can bring you any form of help in confronting life in a really good and positive and creative way, then you know that's why we do it. So I hope it does, you know, help you out as much as possible. It's absolutely lovely. I will see you soon on the energy update tomorrow coming out. I will see you there. If not, I will see you on your weekly reading. Yes, it'd be lovely all to see you again. In the meantime, much joy to you, and I will yes, see you soon. Don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.